Welcome to the Black Male Impact. Today we have as guest Mr. David Whitfield. And before we get into the conversation, I want Mr. Whitfield to share with us the things that he has been doing, especially in data science, that we want to introduce more for our young people to that profession. I don't know how many of our young youth know about data science and how important it can be for them. So, Mr. Whitfield, please share with us about yourself. And you can go a bit into the data science, but we know we'll touch on it as we go through this conversation.
Okay, definitely. David Whitfield, I'm a data scientist. I've been doing, the data science good over 10 years. My background ranged from finance, started out as a credit in the credit field, and then worked into a risk management role, dealing with option traders and things of that nature, and then moved to more of a quant analyst. And from there, found opportunities in data science. And the reason I sort of levitate or move towards that role is the wealth of data that companies are collecting. And with Google, with Facebook, the amount of data that they are collecting, and someone needs to make sense of that data. And with that data, we're able to understand behavioral science, meaning the patterns of people, how they think, and try to project or predict whether you buy something at Amazon, what are other products or similar products that people that purchased this one product that you purchase, other things that sort of associate with that type of purchase. I deal more retail analytics. I also assist in behavioral analytics with HR. So it sort of varies. I'm on a lot of projects. There's a plethora of things to do with data science and expand with information, creating and developing insights for stakeholders, and to make decisions on going forward where we see the economy, what adjustments we have to make from a strategic standpoint. So it's an exciting field, and it's something that, from my perspective, there's a lot of contribution that needs to be had at all levels of society, especially the youth. We need their contribution, their ingenuity, their creativity within that field.
Thanks for sharing that. With the data science and understanding the behavior, will that be applicable in higher education or in schools to see what are some of the trends when it comes to students?
Yeah, you could, especially when it comes to a certain program, you could probably start to weed out who would succeed and who would not, given certain behavioral test patterns and the dedication, right? You got to have a dedication towards achieving a goal, and you have to be focused. So data science could be used to predict, okay, these candidates apply for this program. Based on the information that we have, can we predict who would be an ideal candidate? Because that candidate could represent the institution and the department, given their scholastic and performance and desire to achieve.
Okay, great. Because I know with all sectors, I know they try to understand the patterns of individuals and how, as you said, best to serve, and also what type of things they will, say, purchase or predict what they will do based on their behavior.
Yes.
So that's not really a strong area for me. I've done sociology, which showed me behavioral patterns, because we look at the behavior of individuals and see how certain behavior affect others, especially from a community standpoint. But I'm going to switch gear a little bit.
Okay.
I'm going to look on some of the things or questions to you and how we can make a difference as Black men in our communities. So my first question to you is, what is the mindset that it takes to make a positive impact?
One is to move with intention, right? You have to believe in yourself. You have to You have to have a vision and a goal. Be goal oriented and not just talk it, but achieve it. Try to execute. Whether you succeed or fail, if you fail, you still win, right? You still learn from what you did wrong and you get back up. So you're really judged on, if you fail, can you get back up? Or did you let that challenge destroy your whole goal as what you're trying to achieve? So you want to be able to accept that challenge. If you do not succeed at the level in which you want to succeed, can you get back up, learn from your mistakes, and go at it again? So,
and I really like, as you said, move with intention, because to create change, you have to somewhat be specific,
correct.
direct with what change you want to make as an individual, because we're not going to make the same changes. We're not have the same passion. We don't have the same experience. So what we pursue may be different. So I
Yes.
really like that perspective on move with intentions. We have to know what we want to do and what impact we want to make. And I also like where you say with goals that when you're pursuing a goal, there will be challenges, but we
Yes.
can't
All
let
the time.
what happened stop us from continuing the journey. But with data science, do you see like a pattern with people and their behaviors, or when they face challenges, do they quit easily, or what are some of the things that come to you from a data science perspective?
Well, let's take a look at the economy overall. There's definitely some challenges, possibly with unemployment and things of that nature. So we sort of weighted looking at the data science, because let's say Google, they laid off a lot, Facebook laid off a lot. So from a behavioral standpoint, they're challenged with trying to find a job. But we found in data that those individuals found jobs within less than 60 days for the most part. So, and that's just being with having a skill set coming from a top tier company, possibly from a university, and then having the desired skill set that the job market is longing for, not just in tech, but also in real estate, utilities, and other industries. Because every organization, every company has data, especially healthcare, medical field. They deal with data, and it's about understanding that data, interpreting that data, and being able to corral the strategy around that data and executing.
Well, that's great to know, but especially with the employment. Sometimes we on the outside may not realize, as you said, within 60 days, individuals sometimes find new employment, and that sometimes are not is not something that we are aware of if we're not looking at those data and see what's going on, especially with employment.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, like I said, it's a specific skill set that's very in high demand.
Okay.
I'm not sure that same experience across the board for everyone. It's just having a high demand skill set and then having the background as well. And then also finding opportunities, especially not specifically within tech, but looking at industries that's looking to use analytics in a way, and then you're able to sort of go to that company and pioneer or be a leader within that role, within that company, in that industry.
Man, that's great to know. But as it goes back to with any profession or whatever we choose to do,
Mhm.
we must move with intention.
Correct.
When we want to make an impact. And if
Mhm.
it's to understand people, and if it's to find out the best way to help people, we have to move with intention.
With
So,
intentions,
that's,
yes.
yeah, that's a great point. I will remember, but with the data information. But as you said, whatever we do, we move with intention. So my next question to you is, what advice do you have for the men listening and how they can play a role in creating positive change?
I would say for the men to really be, focus on being a leader amongst the individuals that you are around, be it your family, be it your friends, being a person to have positive impact. We're trying to, especially with a lot of the media and the negative information we see, or the imagery that we see espoused from news outlets and things of that nature. A lot of us tend to buy into that imagery, and there's a plethora. We're a wide variety as far as personality, characteristics, skill set, and we're not the image that most of the media project. And buying into that imagery is just not, it's not good personally, it's not good professionally, and we're greater than that. We're better than that. We are individuals that can contribute to society. History tells us, and the amount of things and challenges our ancestors been through within this society specifically, and I myself am a testament to that, we can achieve. And we just need to keep that goal high, be positive, not buy into the negative imagery that is espoused about us, and move forward.
As you said, our ancestors have proven or have been through the struggles and have shown us what is possible. And as you said, you're a testament to what we can achieve. And there are many other Black men out there that have proven that they can succeed against all odds, because not all of us are born into an affluent family. A lot of us come from struggles, but yes, we overcome, because you said something great. In us, we have the ability to do great things, but sometimes we are bombarded with the negative perspective and falsifications when it comes to us as Black men. And if we're not careful, we buy into the false narrative. And that's why, as you mentioned, that we must be leaders wherever we are and show up as examples of what is possible. Because despite what we do, someone is watching. And the next generation, as they will tell us all the time, it's easier to become what you see. So it's on us to make sure we are modeling what is possible, not just for us right now, but for the next generation to see through us what they can become. So I really appreciate that perspective of setting the standard high.
Definitely set the standard high, and be self-aware.
Self-aware.
Be self-aware. Be aware of how you perceive yourself, because at the end of the day, you have to live with yourself, and you have to be. You have to, at the end of the day, you have to look at yourself in the mirror, and you have to account for what you achieved, what you did not achieve that day, and then set that bar higher, right? Go back and make sure you do the job, or find a different way to achieve your goals. Just being persistent and with intention and focus, being focused.
That self-aware piece is really important as well. As we move with intention, we need to be aware of ourselves, and at the point where we know what impacts us, positively or negatively. Because when we know either positive or negative, we can make the adjustments, especially if we know what's going on will affect us in a negative way. We can make the adjustments to make sure we develop or achieve what we want. And if it's positive, we can do more of what is positive, so we can become the best version of ourselves. So really appreciate that, the perspective. So my next, go ahead.
We have to embrace the challenges. We have to embrace the challenges, because the challenges help us grow. Because when we achieve a certain status, if we were given that, we wouldn't respect it. And the next thing you know, when it's taken away, can we get to that status or higher? So the goal of being successful, can you duplicate it? If you can duplicate it, you know what you're doing.
That's right.
And it's something that no one can take away from you.
That's right. That's right. And I'm glad you shared it. Hopefully we get back to that point before we finish the conversation, because I think that's important as we go forward. As there were recently talking about where we go from here. Once we learn something, it's important that we're able to duplicate it and help others to do the same thing that we're doing to achieve success. So that's a valid point as we go forward on this journey. So I appreciate you sharing that. My next question is, how can we as Black men help to change the narrative today?
I would probably, again, I would probably lean on my answer before, just being leaders. But before you be a leader, you have to also be a follower, right? Great leaders have to be great followers. Great leaders also have to be great listeners. Try to figure out, and in data science, the biggest thing is being a critical thinker, being able to solve problems. Us as Black men especially, can we solve our problems? And our problems really start initially within the home. If I focus on my home life, make sure my family is in a stable situation, minus drama or anything, you do the same. That makes, we can contribute more to society. But I will not be as useful if I also have my home life is totally in a disarray. I can't focus on contributing to society because I also have my home life taking things away. But if my home life is straight, then I'm applying these tools to the community, and I'm being able to be more effective to the community, to my fellow man, and achieving a goal.
You're right. It starts in the home. It starts with family. Yes. And once we can get that right, we can change a whole lot of things. But you also share that when it comes to our progress, our change, it's on us to make sure we are doing what we can do. And there's no reason to wait for others to do for us what we can do for ourselves. And that's important as we go forward on this journey, especially when we're talking about changing the narrative, changing the perspective of what the perception that people have of us. Because yes, it was a created narrative for us to believe, or for the world to see us in a certain light. But guess what? They're not going to change what was created. We have to change it. We have to be intentional with, as you mentioned, being a leader. Let that change start with us and focus on what we can do and make sure we are making the contribution that will help to change the narrative when it comes to us. That means we have to share a more positive story of who we are and show up in the spaces that we are as leaders, despite what have been said about us, because no one is going to change it for us if we don't change it. So we have to make sure we are making the contribution that we would like to be talked about when it comes to us as Black men.
Yes, most definitely.
So that's really important. And I like the idea of being a critical thinker, because as a critical thinker, you not only, you'll be thinking about everything, sometimes even your own thoughts.
You have to be, us as Black men, we have to be aware of everything. We have to be aware of our own personal faults, as well as how I project myself to others. And we have to take ownership of that. We have to take ownership of our own personal behaviors, our results, and being able to see how can we improve. If I'm waiting around for another person to do for me, then more than likely I would not have. So I have to take that ownership and move forward and influence as many as possible to do the same. If I'm not out on a loudspeaker, I need to be the physical embodiment of what I'm talking about. I don't have to talk it, but you can see the results. That's what I try to do. Just look at the results.
Man, that's important, because when I'm on campus, right, people sometimes ask me, why are you in suits every day? I'm in suits on dress down day. Because I know the students that are around me. I know that some of these students haven't seeing someone close to them or have a role model or an example. So I know that this is not really about me. So I have to model, as you mentioned, what I represent, every space that I am, especially when it comes to the next generation and the students. So I appreciate that perspective because it's needed. We must model what we're talking about.
Right. Especially if you're around a younger generation, there's definitely a person or persons looking at you saying, I want to be like you. Looking at Dr. Cross, I want to be like him.
Man.
You know, and you might not know it.
Yeah.
But
Well,
when
and
Go
and
ahead.
that's, I tell people all the time, to me, that is more rewarding than the paycheck. To be
Yes.
honest with you, we need the money, of course, but
Yes.
when someone can come to you and say, what I'm doing this or making a change because I've seen what you're doing, man, that you're doing something.
Oh, yeah.
And that's important. I remember when I just started in the education field, and this young man, he was in my class. He was older than me, and he didn't
Okay.
show up for class. I was teaching at the college level, but it was a 2-year college, so it was not the traditional way. And he didn't
Right.
show up, but I always take the names of all my students. So once they don't show up, I call them. So I
Okay.
called after 2 days, and I didn't get a response. So I called the following day and leave a voicemail. Two
Yeah.
days after that, the student came back to class and said, "Sir, this is the first time in my life that I realized somebody cared about me." I said, man, that was like powerful. And that will stay with me forever. Because being that example in those spaces, man, it's so important when we're talking about making a difference or creating change, because we never know who
Yes.
is looking up to us in the spaces that we are in. And
Yes.
that's something that, man, I always cherish. And it was in that moment that I started to really think about how can we change the narrative and how can we be the example? Because for this person to be older than me at that time and never think someone cared about what they can be or who they can become, you can
Right.
just imagine how many of us are out there not being told or let just to know that someone care about
Yes.
you as an individual.
Yes. Just that simple gesture,
Yes.
right? Didn't cost money, just took a little time.
That
It
it's
inspired and it lit a spark in that person.
yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And
Very, very
we're all looking at one another.
yes.
We're looking at the entertainment industry. Unfortunately, that's probably not the best
Well,
best
some
group
good
to really look
example,
at. But
as you say, maybe they don't maybe sing a lot of positive stuff, but I've seen changes in some of the individuals. And sometimes when
oh
they
yeah,
speak,
yes,
you understand maybe the first part of their journey was an example of their environment.
oh yeah. I think it's more transparent now than it was in previous years,
Yes,
and
yes,
that there's something different about that environment that they're in, and then you're surrounded probably by a group that really don't have your best intentions at heart.
yes.
So how do you move in that environment, especially when you're not aware of the business side? You're just a talent, right?
Correct.
So you don't know anything about accounting, finance. You don't know anything about opening a business. You just know about whatever you do, acting, singing, and you're trusting individuals you don't know at all to handle your money and to tell you when to wake up, where to go.
That's right. Things have changed. Things have changed. But
Yeah.
you're right. In the earlier stages, they may not have the right guidance, and what they were exposed to,
Mhm.
it was just more so to how can they share their talent or their ability, and
Yes.
someone was profiting a whole lot
Yes.
from their talent and ability. So,
Yes.
but when it comes to change, man, we can learn from individuals who have made mistakes, because
Correct.
who have made bad decisions based on their environment or what they were exposed to. And because it's all about changing the narrative. And I've seen So many of these artists today, they're doing, especially financial literacy, and teaching the community how to manage their money because they have mismanaged their money, millions
Yeah.
of dollars and stuff like that. So there are a lot of
Yes.
things that we can learn as we go forward when we're talking about changing the narrative. So,
Yes,
um,
I
go
totally
ahead.
agree with you, especially with the financial literacy. With me, we need to understand and embrace business, economics. We need to understand that. We need to understand how to communicate effectively with one another, being able to disagree without being emotional and I don't ever want to talk to you again because we disagree.
Yeah,
We need to understand strategy. We need to understand how to have a goal and then follow through. There's a plethora of fundamental things as a people that we need to understand and embrace. And those are some fundamental thoughts that I sort of think that especially Black men, us as a people, we need to embrace those. And whether we're in architecture, we still need to understand the business of architecture. Whether we're in top rapper, you have to understand the business of the music industry.
correct.
So everything is business. Everything revolves around financial literacy.
Okay.
And once you understand financial literacy and how you can take advantage, how you contribute to that industry or that position, you're able to move differently.
Correct, correct, correct. That's important and great conversation. But I'm going to switch gear a little bit.
Yeah.
Because I want to ask you what or who has influenced or inspired you to pursue the path that you're on? You're in the data. So who have inspired you or what inspired you
Yeah.
to this path?
Yeah. I get probably my just determination from my father. He's a hard worker. As far as data science is concerned, it's just circumstances. My background is primarily within the financial industry, analytics, but having or been fortunate to have the foresight to see that, hey, IBM stores a whole bunch of data. Microsoft stores a whole bunch of data, and they've been collecting data since mainframes were created. There's an opportunity there. Someone needs to go into that data and make sense of it. What are opportunities going forward that I can take advantage of? And, just having the foresight of seeing that everything is going towards digital analytics and moving the old school way was a gut hunch. I feel that this is happening, or I've been in this position for 20 years, and this is how we've always done it. Okay, that person retires, and you have a new person in there, and he doesn't understand what you've done. So now we need to move more towards a quantitative, reproducible method, and that's where the data and the analytics come in, and that's pretty much. And I've just been fortunate to sort of make the right decision, and for me, it's exciting. It's just an exciting opportunity, and I see not just an exciting opportunity for myself, but for anyone that wants to spend the time to understand data as a whole, analytics as a whole, and how they can contribute to grow. Because right now it's at its infant stages.
Okay.
Yeah.
So from your perspective, what percentage of Black men or Black people on a whole are in that space?
I have not looked up that stat. However, I would have to say less than 1 to 2%.
Okay. Yes,
Yes. Yes.
because I haven't seen a lot of Black people or Black men in that space. When you look at the different professions, you seldomly, well, I haven't really seen, to be honest with you, anyone. And sometimes you don't see things because you're looking for it. So, but it's just like teaching. Teaching is like 2% of Black men
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
teaching. So you can just
Yeah.
imagine data science.
Yes.
It may be less than 2%, as you mentioned, because it's not something that seems to be popular. And if
Yeah.
it's not popular, we may not pursue it. And because we don't understand it and we don't know it. So I'm
Yes.
glad that you're here. And hopefully we have young people listening and even adults who may be thinking about a different space that they want to pursue. And so I really appreciate you sharing your knowledge and why you go into data and the impact data have when it comes to us and the decisions that we make.
Yes. Overall, I would say the invention of the internet. I mean, we're in the information age.
Yeah.
There's absolutely nothing that we cannot learn.
Right.
If you don't want to know it, to me, I say that's a personal issue. Everything is out there. I mean, if you want to learn how to build a rocket, the fundamental information is out there. There are books, there are articles, there are professional videos, and you can connect with local colleges. I mean, there's the information and the network is paramount. There's so many ways with the advent of the internet. There's absolutely no knowledge that is almost secret now. You can learn whatever you want to be. I tell my own children that there's no reason for you to wait to go into med school to learn about medicine.
Correct.
There's absolutely no excuse. If that's what you want to be and you're 12 years old, there's information there. You just need to know with intention what you want to be. And we'll start preparing you at this moment for that path.
You are so right, because we have all access to the information and like so much. Because prior to coming here to the States, and there were certain things that I wasn't privy to. And sometimes when you grow up in poverty, but now it doesn't matter if you're in poverty, you can still get access to the information, because guess what? We all have cell phones.
Oh yeah, and I in Africa there was a young man building a car. Did not have half of the things that Ford and the rest of these automotive industry. He just took scrap.
Yep.
And made a car. And I'm like, oh my gosh, the just from and he was a young guy, so innovativeness,
Oh yeah,
ingenuity and creativeness, and he just took what he had around, and so the possibilities are utterly endless.
that's so true, so true. We just have to point the young people in the right direction and
Yes.
expose them, because
Yes.
the slightest exposure can revolutionize their thinking and what they pursue. So, as you said, possibilities are endless. Sometimes they just need that direction, and we will see great change in the near future. Although we are starting to see change, we're starting to see change already, but it's only going to get better by us showing them what is possible.
Yes. I would I'll quote a Will Smith saying. He said, if you want to see a change the 5 closest people next to you.
And that's right.
So basketball players hang with basketball players. They don't hang with mathematicians.
Correct.
So if you want to be something, you find that group, you hang with them, and steel sharpens steel.
That's right. And it is important, especially as Black men, as we're talking about now, creating change. If you want to make a difference, you have to be around people that wants to make a difference. If you want to achieve success, you want to be around people that wants to achieve success. If you want to become the best version of yourself, you have to be around people who want to be the best version of themselves. So that's a great reminder to all of us to make sure 5 closest people to us represent what we want out of life.
I'll tell you a short story. Going into data science while in school learning the craft, I went to Starbucks, and there was another gentleman. It's like, what are you working on? That looks like Python.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, I'm in a data science program. He said, you know what? I'm in an assembler program, but I'm at DePaul.
Wow.
But see, that's sort of how the universe works. Once you have that intention, you say, this is what I want to do, things start to fall in place. And it's just how things work. When you know what you want to do, you define it, you probably wrote it out on a piece of paper. I want to be a data scientist. I want to learn this and that. There's things that just come into place, it just almost magically. And, it's like you just take that opportunity and, meet other individuals that can help you. And me and that guy started working on different projects. Oh, I'm working on this project. Oh, how did you do that? Oh, I'm working on this project. Oh, how did you do that? And sharing code and sharing information and just knowledge sharing. So it's moving with intention, knowing what you want to do. It all plays out.
And you're right. As you said, it's like magic. Once you decide what you want to do, it's like you start to pull those people to you.
Yes.
You show up in spaces, it's like it start to align. The person that you come in contact with share the same similar vision, want
Yes.
to achieve something similar. So that also is a great reminder. But it goes back to what you said in the beginning, that we have to move with intention.
Yes.
Once we know what we want to do, we'll start to make connections with the people that supports and that believe in what we are pursuing.
Right.
And so that leads me to this next question. What is your perspective on the current climate of Black men in society today?
Myself, I would hope that us as Black men would stop worrying about how other people perceive us and just focus on what we have to do, right? We know that our families need to be brought together. We need to have families. The broken family is not the solution for us. We as Black men need to start being more leaders. We have to become leaders within our home first and then expand from there. So we have to take accountability and not sit and wait for others to help us out. It's just not going to happen. And sometimes I tell my kids and I tell others, we call this the human race. It's the human race. So in any race, you want to win. And that's how people are playing it, right? And it seems like we're the only group that's trying to cross the finish line, holding hands with all the other races. And that it's a competition per se.
Yeah.
And everything is competition. This is a capitalistic society, and you have to bring your best to the table. And that's what the society, capitalism does. It brings the best to the table. So you have to, no matter what race, we want the best contribution from everybody involved.
That's a great perspective. From us being accountable, from us wanting to win, from us deciding that if things are going to be better, we have to show up with our best self.
Yes.
Every time.
Every time.
And at the same time, knowing that others are competing, but also know that if things are going to change, we have to change. And it goes back to that. We cannot wait for someone to do for us what we can do for ourselves.
Yes.
We have to realize how important that is in regards to making progress, because if I'm going to make things better for you and I'm going to stop to make things better for you, what's going to happen? Man, you're going to start making all the progress.
Exactly.
So no one is going to do that for us. So it's something that we have to do and realize how important that is. And once we start on that path, our responsibility then become, how we support each other to make sure the progress that we're making can benefit us on a larger scale, which is important. So as I think it was Howard Anderson that talks about group economics and how we can make progress collectively, because collective progress gives us power, and we need power to progress how we should.
Yes. I gave this example to my daughter. I told her, raised one finger, told her, how strong is this one finger versus a whole fist?
That's right.
Right. So the collective is the fist. I'm able to make a better, stronger impact with the collective than this one finger. I can point.
Yes.
But with this, I could really make an impact. So the collective, us moving as a unit and supporting one another, not negatively having condescending conversation, but being able to support one another to achieving the goal. And that's what we need to move to that level, and being able to challenge one another in the areas of finance, in the areas of economics. Are we studying that? My background, my bachelor's is in economics. And for me, economics taught me capitalism. It taught me what I call the game of America, how the corporations work, how the feds, what their purpose is, the global economy. So it gave me a macro as well as a micro view of how the global system works. But many of us, and I'll use a sport analogy, want to play a game, but don't know the rules.
That's right. That's right. That's right. And so I'm glad you say about the economics part, because that's one shift that will be focusing here on the Black male impact. Because to empower the people, you got to share with them strategies, and you want to hear from individuals who understand it,
Yes.
Not just want to play the game, but understand the rules of the game, so we can make the progress that we're capable of making. So, and this next question is a question, I know you have answered it, but I'm still going to ask the question just for perspective, or just to remind us of something that you already shared. What change do you want to see in general amongst Black men?
Leadership, accountability.
Leadership and accountability. I think that is important as we go forward. So I'm going to go into my next question. So not to expound on that one, being that you have shared a whole lot of information on things that we can do and need to do as we go forward. So what was a pivotal moment in your life?
Going away to college.
Okay.
I live in Chicago area. Love Chicago. It's just a mindset, especially for Black men, that we need a break from.
Yeah.
And going away to college, I was able to see and interact with other individuals that wanted to do more with their life, that had sights on being an accountant, that had sights on being a teacher, who had sights on being other than I'm going to work at or do nothing. it really, there's no, in Chicago, well, my exposure, the ceiling was extremely low, right? So going away is like, okay, we could do this, we could do that, and meeting other individuals like myself, it's the inspiration. So, I'm like, okay, I see met individuals who are in the medical school, met individuals who are engineering, met individuals in computer science. And initially I went to school. The first thought in my mind was, hey, you need to be in computer science. And I was like, no, I want to learn about business because I don't want to sit behind a computer all day. Little did I know, years later, I'm sitting behind a computer all day. And now I'm doing exactly what I thought initially I should have done, learn about computer science. Now I'm actually doing that, went for my master's within predictive analytics and achieving that. So I ran away from it initially, but came back to it in my latter years after having some work experience and learning about business, learning about the global system, how accounting and cash flow, operating cash, sales, the importance of the marketing team, the importance of the sales team, the importance of executive management, cash, or the stockholders, and just learning the ins and outs of corporations and how they work relative to the municipalities, the city of Chicago, the federal government, taxes. So being able to have that wealth of knowledge and then saying, okay, there's a lot of data around this. And management needs to understand what strategies to make going forward. So it wasn't planned. It's just seeing opportunities, being able to see opportunities and take advantage of those opportunities.
And that's also important to all of us, because sometimes we think that just because we start our journey doing one thing, we may have strengths in different areas that we have never exposed ourselves to.
Yes.
But also to see those areas as an opportunity to explore And by exploring it, we may find we have an interest or a deep
Yeah.
interest in those areas. So sometimes not exposing ourselves to certain things may prevent us from realizing that, man, we can really achieve success in these areas. So I really appreciate you sharing that. And as men, once we see the opportunity, before we say that's not something that we can do, if it's something that you have never done or we have never make an attempt to, sometimes it worked trying to see
Oh,
if
yeah.
it is something that we can do, because if we have never been exposed to it, we may have that innate ability to do it.
Do
And
it.
not until we try, we'll know if we can or not.
Right.
So that's really great. But also, as you said, college was that pivotal moment. With all the things that we have heard about Chicago when it comes to Black males, leaving that environment really can give you perspective and insights of what's out there, what's available to you, what is possible. So, man, I can just imagine even today, with all the things that we're exposed to, the ability to succeed, you
Mhm.
still find that young men in Chicago sometimes have in challenges to get out of the
Yes.
environment itself. So
Yes.
I can see how just getting out of that space can be a pivotal moment.
Right. Right. Just being able to go somewhere where the same tension is not there. Going away to a university where it's basically in the middle of nowhere, cornfields. One, you have nature. You don't have the police sirens or ambulance. You're not really hearing all that crazy noise. You can actually hear the crickets. You can actually see stars, and it's refreshing just to change your environment and to change the individuals around you. Really influential. And then realizing ultimately the things that you are scared of, get out your own way. Get out your own way. Stop psyching yourself out that you can't do it. Like mathematics. You say math, and most people automatically shut down.
That's right.
And and I would say, what? You can go on YouTube and there are little kids showing you how to do fractions.
Yep.
Little kids showing you how to do fractions. The only difference is whether you want to take time to do it. Time, dedication, focus. And once you learn how to do it, next thing you know, oh, I did fractions. I had trouble with that in school before, but now there's so many different tools. If it, even if a teacher can't teach a subject that you sort of understand in a way that you understand, you have a tool within the internet and they could teach you the same subject in a different manner. You could probably ask for shortcuts in multiplication, right? There's shortcuts in division, there's shortcuts in fractions, but you just have to be inquisitive and be determined to learn it. So, especially with the advent of the internet and the amount of tools, I grew up in an age where you went to a library and used a card catalog.
Yeah, that's right.
To find a book. You would go through 5 books just to get a paragraph to write your paper.
Yeah.
The internet has totally made that at your fingertips.
Oh, yeah.
It is a gold mine. And from my perspective, the youth don't understand what they have, and they're not taking advantage of the amount of information that is available. Social media is cool, I guess. I don't really do a lot on social media, but I do a lot of research for my own field and just general knowledge.
Yeah.
At your fingertips is just incredible. And I think the youth need to embrace that. Ask questions. Why do, what's the purpose of trees?
Yeah.
How does it relate to me? What's the purpose of the sun? How does it relate to me? These questions it'll start to keep going, especially on it. You'll have articles, books, and
Oh,
these
yeah.
things help grow you and grow your characteristic, grow your understanding of the environment. Ask what happens when the Fed increase interest rates. how does that affect me?
Yeah. It's a platter of opportunity just to explore the available information and knowledge
Yes.
that we have at our fingertips. Because as you're just asking those simple questions, your brain start to turn and say, "Man, what else do I need to ask myself
Right.
about what I'm doing or have interest in so I can improve?" So, but it's there for us to learn and to
Yes.
explore and to become, again, the best version of ourselves. So,
So,
man, this
uh,
this a time where we cannot say we don't know something if it's something that we need to know so we can make progress.
yeah. The online courses, they were, from my understanding, they were initially intended, a lot of them were free,
Mhm.
intended for the underserved community.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And some we may not be taking advantage of,
And, and that's the thing.
and maybe you just saying it now, somebody may just hear and say, you know what, maybe I need to take this to our community and let people know there are so many different free platforms out there to empower us to make progress. And because I wasn't even thinking about it as you just mentioned it, that it was created for the underserved communities.
Mhm.
Because yes, because they don't have to pay for it, but it's real good information to help us to level up.
Yes.
But not until we take advantage of what's available, we're
Right.
not going to make the progress that we're capable of making.
Yes.
So that's a great point. And so I really appreciate that. But I want to ask you, just for, especially for the current generation,
Mhm.
what life lesson have you learned late that you think is beneficial for this current generation?
Now, I've probably said this before, but get out your own way. Stop telling yourself that you can't do this because you've never been exposed to it. Now, you may never want to try, but until you try and really try, meaning you put an effort, you set time aside to try to master it. And it's much easier with the available tools. Imagine if there was no internet. Imagine if you had to do mathematics and plot a graph and you had graph paper.
That's right.
you,
Oh, yeah.
you, right. You would have to go down and figure out where 3, 5 is on the y-axis.
Right. Count those little things, man.
Exactly. So take advantage of the tools, master the tools, because going forward, every occupation will have to have some level of understanding of analytics data, because every occupation is using data in some sort of way, either to understand the students, to understand demographics, to understand the economy, to understand finance. We all have to become data literate, and it would also help for us as Black people to include financial literacy as well. So there's a lot of, and right now it's just an evolution of men in general,
Okay.
because this amount of information has never been available to everyone. Generally, in historical, it was only the high priest or certain levels of society that was able to read, right? Everyone else couldn't read.
Yeah.
This is the opportunity where from the top to the bottom, you have the ability to read, or you have the sources to read.
Correct. And I like the term that you use, data literate.
Yes.
So because we need to know what's working and what's not working, so we can remove or implement, so we can make the progress that we need to see the success that we need. So that's great. And but as you have shared, and to remind us and the next generation that get out of our own way. Don't say we can't do something before we try. So that's important. A great reminder,
Yes.
as although it's for the next generation or the current generation that's coming behind us, but it's also for us who are ahead of the youth to realize that sometimes we can do things that we haven't yet tried, but we're telling ourselves that we can't do it. So I appreciate you sharing that, and it's a great reminder
Yes.
for all of us here. So, but before I ask my final question, where can the listeners find you and support the great work that you're doing to make a difference?
Yeah, probably the best way to get in contact with me is with through LinkedIn, Dave Whitfield 3, and at LinkedIn or LinkedIn.com, and I believe it's in at the /in forward or / Dave Whitfield 3.
Okay.
Or you could just say Dave Whitfield, data scientist, and you'll find me. Just do a simple look up in LinkedIn, and you'll definitely find me there.
Okay. And I will also put the link somewhere in the description so the individuals who want to follow with you and learn more about data science can reach out to you. And hopefully, in the near future, we'll have you sharing more again, maybe specifically about data science and how that may can impact a particular organization. So, at
Definitely.
some point, we will have this conversation. As you mentioned, this is where we're moving to, and we need to understand it.
Definitely.
So, I'll definitely put your way to contact you in the description section. So, my
Great.
final question to you is, what impact do you want to have on the world?
As a Black man, and I within data science and as well as within finance, I've always wanted to impact individuals positively, right, wherever I go, especially having opportunities within organizations, and I might be the only Black man there. I want to do the best that I can, do the best that I can at that organization. So if I'm not there, retire, find another opportunity, that they would look favorably towards hiring another individual, Black individual, for that position, and influence anyone around me positively. And that's primarily what I try to do. However I can help a person, either through understanding data science or especially within my own family, just understanding how to navigate as a college student through college. What are some majors to take, how to navigate it, how to navigate through getting monies and funds to pay for college. Hey, I'm available. And that's how I do within my own family. And that, as well as I sort of extend those resources out to individuals I come in close contact with as well.
Okay, man, and that's great. So, and although I mentioned about the data science could be a next conversation that we have, but also as you just mentioned, just to help students to find ways to get money to go to college, that also could be added to the next conversation because I know there are a lot of students out there who may not take on that journey because they're not able to finance themselves for that educational journey. So students are always looking for scholarships to go to college, and if they can get access, some students will take on that journey because some
Yeah.
students, well, one of the challenges that I've seen is that financial piece. Students are quitting because they're not able to afford to go to college.
Yes. My own experience, which was unfortunate, I had to take a lot of loans out. But during that time, I didn't really understand my position as a military kid.
Yeah.
I didn't understand what was out there. I figured that out after I graduated. I'm a military kid. I had these funds available for me.
Wow.
But like I said, the internet, it's there. You can go to the school and pull up what available sources are there, especially being a Black person, being a Black woman. There's just tons of scholarships that are unclaimed. And I have a junior in high school, so I have to go through that iteration with her to try to see, okay, these are some opportunity. And I have her as a junior and she's saying, there's a lot of this opportunity, but they're seniors. I said, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Let's start this process now so that you get in the groove of it. So when you are a senior, you understand how to write for these scholarships. You understand what you qualify for. It's a learning curve for everyone because it changes.
Yeah.
It changes so rapidly, and it has evolved, especially since I was in school. Like I said, having the tools of the internet, the funds, and the availability and things, you're able to research a lot easier. And I'm just a research fanatic. Any idea, I'm like, jump on the internet and go from there. If I have to buy a book, I'll buy a book. If I have to contact someone, I'll contact someone. So
That's right. And that's how we make progress, by
yes.
learning.
Yes.
And we always have to open ourselves to learn more, especially when we're thinking about making progress. We just have to be open to learn, because we don't know everything, and we have to understand that there are things that if we are not exposed to it, the best way to go forward is to learn about what we need to, so we can grow and achieve what we are capable of achieving.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
And we have to be comfortable with not knowing.
That's right.
It's okay. It's okay with not knowing.
That's right. That's
So,
right.
once you figure that out, what are you going to do about it?
That's right. That's right.
You can change that around
with not knowing, because that's where you open yourself up now to learn, and and be comfortable with not knowing. You become like more vulnerable. With that vulnerability, help you to explore what will be able to what you can use to help you progress.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. So yes. So Mr. Whitfield.
Yes.
Man, this conversation was great. I really appreciate your perspective. I appreciate your insight and the knowledge you share with us here on the Black Male Impact, and the audience listening. So, man, I appreciate you coming and sharing with us, and definitely looking forward to having another conversation, especially about understanding data.
I totally appreciate the opportunity. It's been a great, conversation and dialogue. I've learned from you as well, being within the education, the challenges that you have in the education field, and it's pretty much the battle that we're all fighting. And it's just to keep everyone motivated, to have that positive impact on our surroundings, and to be that mentor for the younger generation.
Man, thank you. And listeners, it's great to always have you here on the Black Male Impact. As you know, our goal is to inspire positive change. Looking forward to sharing with you our next guest. Always subscribe, share once you find this important and interesting, and because with you, we can grow this channel, and we can continue to make a positive impact. Thank you, and thanks again, Mr. Whitfield.
Thank you.